You're listening to 90.1 KFKX Hastings, Nebraska. You're listening to The Man Show. Every Monday night at 7 to 8, we have this block, so Dan and Mike on the mic. First, we're going to start off tonight with the men's national tournament. Once again, it's played tonight. It is a championship game between Butler and Connecticut. I'm going to have Michael take Butler right now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how Connecticut was able to get to the tournament. So, Michael, why don't you lead off with Butler?
Well, Butler is not one of those teams that is kind of like, well, wait, who is this? Because Butler was there in the national championship last year, for those who do not remember, and lost in a last-second shot to Duke that could have potentially won it for Brad Stevens and the Butler Bulldogs. Butler is right now the lowest seed potentially to win a national championship. The other team that was able to do so was Villanova back in 1985. So Butler really has an opportunity to step here in history and be able to play a Connecticut team who, by a lot of people's standards, none of these two teams should have been even this far. And I really like the interesting aspect. I was listening to ESPN today, and they were talking about, Dan, how today is the lowest tournament ratio of losses, 18 losses between the two teams, both with 9 losses on the records, to play in a national championship. But that does not take away from the quality of these two teams. They have been playing at the highest level through the NCAA tournament. You have for Butler Sheldon Mack as the point guard, who has been absolutely outstanding for them. They've been able to do a lot of their plays around a good style of defense. And Brad Stevens is one of those coaches that you just got to be very impressed with what you see and hear and listen from him, that he's just got this calm demeanor, that he's really, just kind of got this natural layer of how he expects his players to play in the games, especially in tight games. You look at Butler throughout this entire tournament, Dan, that they have been in every single game within a few points, about 5-6 points regularly, and they're able to come out. They know how to win because they don't have any other demeanor than just smooth and consistent from start to finish. So Butler is got a great opportunity tonight. The game kicks off later than usual at 9:23 or 8:23 here in Central Time on ESPN. And Dan, we'll see what you say about UConn's chances.
UConn, they come off of a Final Four match where they played Kentucky, where it kind of traded back and forth, and they were able to pull off a win, 56-65. But it all bases their offense is based around Walker, and Kimball Walker is phenomenal as a guard on that team. But I was watching ESPN this morning, and they were talking about how if he can't get started, who are they going to have to go through? And of course, they got a great guy in a center that is just phenomenal, and is able to take some of the load off Kimball Walker. But it seems like it doesn't really matter, because Walker is their whole team. And I think they said Walker was like 3 for 12 in the last 2 games from three-point lands. And Butler, they like to get out and run, and Butler likes to wear people down. But so does UConn. I think it's going to be a great matchup in the championship. It's not going to be a go out and just completely annihilate a team. It's going to be a great game tonight between Butler and UConn. But I do see Butler winning it, because even though UConn had a couple scares with going back to the Elite Eight when they beat Arizona by 2, they had a lot of wins coming into this national tournament that led to this point, such as beating San Diego State, who was a great team this year, who was ranked at points, and they beat Arizona by 2. They were able to beat Kentucky, who at that point in the Final Four was probably the team to beat.
I would agree with you.
They were able to get by them. Now they face a Butler team who has been undersized through every tournament game, but has somehow come up with a win. Now, who's going to win this game? I think it's going to come down to which team is ready to play and which team can hit the most shots from three-point land, because Butler is very skilled, and so is UConn. But I think Butler with Selvin Mack will make that run, and UConn won't be able to come back because Butler will get a run going, and it'll just be too late for UConn.
Well, and see, when we had our selection picks the night when the tournament just was getting started, I had UConn taking the national championship. I look pretty good right now as an opportunity for Connecticut to be in the championship. And, man, if I would have rode Butler one more round, I got him to the Final Four. If I would have rode them one more round, man, I'd be But it's kind of funny that Dr. Kuzier, my voice teacher, has Butler in there. So this morning we were kind of talking back and forth about who was going to win. And, I mean, we really don't really care who wins, but it's kind of fun. And this tournament game, this championship matchup really shows, you know, the coaching styles of Jim Calhoun and Brad Stevens. It showcases the styles of these two teams, that they know how to win in situations that has been present with them. Those close games, those games that you've got to have the depth on the bench. You've got to have those key players stepping up in big situations. You got to have the freshmen step up and make plays, and your bigs wearing down inside. This is going to be a great game, Dan. I totally believe that it's going to go down probably to a last shot, maybe down to, you know, a few points. But I'm going to give UConn the edge, and here's why. I give UConn the edge with Kemba Walker. That you said he's had two last games that he has not been able to live up to that expectation of just taking the team on his back and going. Kemba Walker, in my opinion, is the national player of the league in the NCAA. And for him to just have hopefully a breakout game where he just takes control of the three-point shots, of dribble penetration, throwing it out to Lamb and the other guys around there on the inside posts, I believe if he has the game of his life tonight, which I think he will, being on the national stage as he will be, I'm going to give UConn the edge, probably about a 2-point difference. It more than likely will come down to a last-second shot.